Story out front is the good news about Obamacare. You say, wait, did I just hear you right? You said good news? Yes, I did say good news because I know that you have heard the bad news. We all know about the horrific, very bad, very terrible website that still is not functioning. We know about the poor sign-up numbers. We know about the cancellation notices. But there is another side. According to the Los Angeles Times, quote, a number of states that use their own systems, meaning their online systems, are on track to hit enrollment targets because of a sharp increase in November, according to state officials. So, just moments ago, I spoke to the U.S. Senator from Kentucky, Rand Paul, a staunch Obamacare opponent, and I asked him about the report because it's near and dear to his heart. One of the states that they say is outpacing enrollment estimates is actually Kentucky, obviously your state, and they say the Kentucky demographics that have come out have shown 41% of the people who have signed up on the state-run website were under the age of 35. That's obviously above the magic number. 40% means Obamacare can work in terms of the young, and obviously Kentucky seems to be exceeding that. That's pretty impressive. Are you going to say Kentucky is a success story for Obamacare?
What I would say is that what's extraordinary about Kentucky's situation is that 40 times more people have been canceled than have signed up. 280,000 people have had their insurance canceled under Obamacare, and 7,000 have signed up. So the number being canceled dwarfs the number actually signing up. So no, if that's a success, I hesitate to see a failure.
Right, and look, I understand your point. And of course, someone might say, well, once the website's working, you'll get some of those people to sign up, or the plans that are going to be offered to them are better. And I know those are fair conversations and discussions we could have, but at least I have to get you on the record. I mean, if young people are signing up in Kentucky, and you're getting the math right there, that opens the door to Obamacare succeeding, right? I mean, you got to acknowledge that.
Maybe, but the thing is if you have 280,000 people canceled, a lot of them were young people. And what's going to happen is the expense was less for people that are being canceled. Their policies are being canceled because they're less expensive than Obamacare. So they're going to be asked to sign up for Obamacare, and I don't think they will because their premiums are going to rise. But the most important statistic is 40 times more people are being canceled in Kentucky than are actually signing up.
Those people, though, right, over time will have some sort of health care. I mean, some of them could pay the penalty.
Maybe.
You're totally right. But
well, maybe. Because the thing is they're going to have to choose something. They're being canceled because they have something less expensive, and President Obama wants them to buy one of his 4 plans, which are more expensive.
But would have better care.
Maybe. I mean, if you're a 24-year-old guy, you really don't care if you have dental care for your kids if you don't have any kids, or pregnancy coverage for a wife if you're not married, or infertility coverage if you're not married. So it's better, but it's more expensive, and it may not be what you want because it doesn't apply to you. It applies to somebody else.
As a doctor, though, aren't you concerned about the fact that a lot of people say, well, I'm going to buy what I want, right? And I want to buy bare bones. But then something happens to them that they don't expect, and they expect the system paid for by other people who have insurance, right, and by taxpayers to come in and bail them out, right, whether that's via the emergency room or some other sort of care. And as a doctor, doesn't that frustrate you? I mean, isn't the whole point to make everybody pay in so you don't have people who think, I don't want this, but then freeload off the system when they actually need it?
Well, I'm for more freedom of choice and less coercion. Obamacare coerces you to buy certain products. I'm for letting people buy any product they want. And I will tell you that when people could buy anything they wanted, that the problem, there was 15% of our public that was uninsured. A third of them were young, healthy people who made between $50,000 and $75,000 a year. They weren't buying it because it was expensive. And so they had money, and now it's more expensive. So really, a third of our problem of the uninsured was due to the expense, and we're now making it more expensive. So I think we've actually made the problem worse. So I really don't see a big upside to this. With all the cancellations, I see young people losing their insurance and being forced to buy something they don't want that's more expensive, and that's coercion. That's not freedom.
Is there a way, though, for someone like you to say, especially given your expertise, that you can try to make this better? I mean, you were an early supporter of the Defund Obamacare effort, obviously. You championed the government shutdown in order to do so, and I just wanted to play for you what the president said about that today.
One of the problems we've had is one side of Capitol Hill is invested in failure, and that makes, I think, the kind of iterative process of fixing glitches as they come up and fine-tuning the law more challenging.
I mean, he has a point there. Your point you're raising about the young people is straight to it, right? Couldn't you say, well, one way to make them sign up would be to raise the penalties? So if the penalties rise, then it makes more sense for them to sign up for the health care. Then you're helping making this thing work instead of advocating for its failure.
Yeah, but listen to your words, Erin. Make people, coerce people, mandate, force. I'm for more freedom of choice where individual consumers get to buy what they want, what they can afford to buy. I'm not for mandates. I'm not for telling people what they can buy. And really, it's antithetical to everything we stand for as a country. And that's why this has never been about health care. It's about freedom of choice. The president wants you to pick only from his 4 choices. And if you choose something else, he's going to call it a name like substandard. But it's what you chose to buy because it's what you could afford and it's what you wanted. He wants you to buy something that you may not need or want.
Which, look, I see your point, but again, I come back to this point, which is people say they want freedom of choice. I don't want to pay for it. But then when something happens to them, they expect to get the care paid for by somebody. And that's part of the reason our costs are so high to begin with.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody should expect to get something for free, and people should pay. And when I was a physician and people couldn't pay, some of them paid on installments, some of them paid a little bit over time, some of them never paid me, and that does happen. But I think physicians and hospitals have dealt with this since the beginning of time, and it isn't perfect. And I'm not saying the old system was perfect either, but what I would have done was expand competition and make prices more elastic. Let prices go up and down and have cheaper policies with higher deductibles, because then competition would bring prices down.
You know, when you talk about being for freedom and not liking words like force and mandate, it brings me to the question of what is a conservative. And I think it's an important question because you're vying against a lot of people who may be running in 2016, including yourself. Here are 2 of your possible opponents this week talking about how they're really conservatives.
There's some Republicans who say, because I got 61% of the vote in New Jersey, he must not be conservative, because how could a conservative win those? This is completely crazy to me.
I'm a conservative, and I'm a practicing one.
I'm a practicing one. I mean, it sounds sort of like a religion. But, of course, you know Jeb Bush is in favor of comprehensive immigration reform. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie has said people should be able to marry whoever they want to marry. Do those 2 gentlemen fit your definition of a conservative?
You know, I don't think any one person gets to decide what is or what isn't conservative. On the case of the New Jersey governor, I think embracing Obamacare, expanding Medicaid in his state's very expensive and not fiscally conservative. And really, many Republican governors who I would say are conservative did resist expanding and accepting Obamacare in their state. So I would say that fact, I would say, would lead towards you making the conclusion that it's not a very conservative proposal.